This is Rando, the random sampler. You hit Rando in the middle, it will give you a selection of random samples from the folders that you hand it. Who the heck knows what you're gonna get? You could come in and you can type in something like kick. You could tell it which locations to look at and hit Rando, and it will randomly give you the stuff that you asked for. These are all kicks. I could come in, I could choose, cello. Maybe I'm looking for cello type stuff. Hit Rando, wait for it. Now, the bigger these are, the harder it's gonna be. And I have a video on this. Now we have cello stuff, and away you go. So I made this video about it, talking about how awesome it is to have as a way to browse these enormous file libraries that we have. You build up a sample library, but there's folders and folders and folders. And this video is more about the updates that have happened since then, because a lot of things have been updated. It is a way better plugin, and I'm honestly just super impressed with the developer. So when I originally made my video way back when, I actually also sent an email with a bunch of requests, things that I just wish would be added to Rando. All of them have been added. Now, in one of these cases, say you're sequencing a beat with it. Like say I'm coming in here and I'm looking for some inspiration. Let's get ourselves going with some sort of a kick to start us off. So it's going to look for the kick. And by the way, this has gotten a lot faster. I don't know if he's updated this or if it's just me or if my setup's different. I didn't look into it. But the newest version, I definitely feel a speed increase. Let's find a kick. So say this is the kick. Actually, let me show you sort of what the issue is. So I'd come in here, I'd put down a kick, and then, I'd go looking for maybe a snare. And then I'd find the snare, but I want to lock the note that I used. So I might find this and I want to lock it so that I don't lose my kick as I go looking for the other things. So if I'm building up a pattern, which a bunch of stuff, say I've got this rather complex pattern. And, I've been going through locking each one of these notes on here is kind of a pain. It's always amazing how kicks tend to just work almost no matter where you put them. So I asked for a mode that when I hit notes, it just locks the notes that come in. And that is when the listen mode got added. That's one of the things that got added. And it's really, really great. So you hit it and now it'll lock. Now I have noticed that it doesn't work exactly how I kind of hoped. I had hoped that when I hit play, it'll lock. But if I go ahead and hit play, you see it's not locking the notes. And if you actually toggle it on and off while it's playing, it'll catch more and more of the notes. Something about the playback portion throws it off. And I'm not sure if this is FL Studio specifically, but what you can do is come in and just click the note and it will lock. So if I go through and, hit all these notes, they're all locked now. And that will work 100% every time. And it's still way, way, way faster than hitting the note, then finding it over here, and then locking it, and then finding the next one. So now if I wanted to look for, I don't know, let's look for a hi-hat. And we'll do Rando for this one. Now these will be the same, but now we have hats. So I could put down, I don't know, a bunch of random hat sounds. And away I go. And this is very fitting, sort of a good vibe for Rando, because it certainly sounds random, but it still kind of works. The manual for Rando is actually a little bit ahead at the moment than the current version that's released. And it has some notes about buttons and things that aren't currently on the version that is you can download if you own Rando. And that has to do with stuff when it comes to loops. He's going to be overhauling the loops. I am so excited for this because that's going to be huge. The ability to manipulate loops. There's already, if you click on anything with a dot, these are visual indicators to indicate that these are loops. Amazing, amazing. I find this so much better than sort of just guessing where things are. Another thing I really wanted, and we talked about it in the email, was when I click and drag, if you look at the old video, it's not totally clear when it's safe to drag the sample off. And if you went too quick, you could just not have the sample. Now there is a little indicator, which is fantastic. It tells you exactly what it's going to do. If you come over to the sequencer tab, there's now these lanes. I mean, he's really been working on the sequencer. I have a feeling there's still a lot going on in this area. So I don't want to be too critical of it at the moment quite yet, but a lot of things have been added. It's a much, you now have up to 4 slots, and it's much more capable. It would be neat. I don't know how he's going to deal with with slicing in plain segments and setting flags. It'd be cool. This would be my idea. You could have the whole keyboard be random samples, but you could take a section of the keyboard and assign it to commands rather than to samples. And then it could do things like it could be assigned to be chromatically responsible for a specific note. Like maybe I want to play this note chromatically. Instead of having it take up the whole keyboard, I could have it take up only a section. That way I could use it in the sequencer and have these more tonal parts, or some sort of a transposition option for specific notes that can be changed in the sequence so that you can introduce more melodic stuff. Those are 2 ideas, but also the command section would be great because not only could it handle playing things chromatically potentially, but it could also make it so that you could trigger off specific slice points inside of these loops. So that's kind of my feature idea. That would be a really powerful upgrade to the internal sequencer and just to playback in general. That would really open it up. Yeah, I think the keyboard actually has a lot of untapped potential when it comes with how we interact with it, but it does come at the cost of a more complex user experience. So I'm not sure. It could be one of those things that you can turn on, but not necessarily on by default. There's a preset browser now, which is pretty cool. I haven't really touched it all that much, but it is a very welcome addition. When it came to the sequencer, even though I knew it was going to be overhauled, there were a few things I asked about. So one of them is the ability to just mute steps, which you could do now. You just click on them and they get muted. So that's pretty cool. I asked for a division option, which is this right here. So this is extremely handy. You can now just control the number of steps and how quickly it moves across the screen. One of the things I asked for didn't get added. So I guess by thinking at the beginning where they all got added, that's not entirely true. Is I would have loved if I could like right click on a note or like click and drag with some modifier key and it fill up like every other step. That would be super handy for things like hi-hats and things. And that's something that I don't know if down the line it'll happen, but it would just be handy for quick sequencing. And so that's something that I hope at some point to see. Like there's this kick track now. It would be cool to see sort of the ability to switch between dedicated tracks. Because now if you right click on a note, you can add it to your kick library. And these are supposed to just make getting to certain samples very easily. And so a priority sample spot lane would be kind of cool. But anyways, that is the update with Rando. I wanted to make a video just highlighting it because it is finding its way into more and more, almost every project I do at this point. It makes browsing so easy. Check out the first video if you want to see more about that. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you own it, what do you think about it? Have you seen the more recent updates? I'm super excited for this next one that is about to drop. And man, if one day that idea about command regions gets added, oh my gosh, that would completely change the abilities of it on a sequencing level. But at the same time, you could just use your DAW. So is it worth it for him to go to all that effort? It's going to be up to him. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos and have a blessed day.